writing some notes for the future. So. Let me just make sure that everything's good. Are we good here? We hot? I don't know if this also happened last time. Everything seemed fine when I did it a while ago. So I don't know what's... Okay, that's great. All right, well, I was able to figure out where the stream was anyway. So there's that. I think. I don't fucking know. Why is YouTube so terrible, honestly? Why do they have to make my life that much more difficult just to stream on their platform? Like, I'm not even trying to do anything incredibly out there, but it's still just as annoying as possible. Anyway, now that I've sort of had my aneurysm for the day, let's talk about HYDRA. Let's talk about what's been going down. Let me just close out some of this stuff. I was a little bit more prepared a couple minutes ago, but then I got distracted by some shit. I was trying to clean up my UStamp TXT. And I was writing some stuff out for the HYDRA changelog. Oh yeah, actually I still need to update some of this stuff. Oh, I see. There were some more thoughts that I have to put in. Delete that. All right. That's a little bit less crazy, a little bit less chaotic. Trying to improve the general environment that I've got going on here. Yeah. It's for analysis. Because that used to be the text file that I kept all of the information on maps from Counter-Strike that I wanted to do map analysis videos on. Builders. But hello, Iquare. Checking out your change right now. We'll see if it works out. I confirmed that the sound effects stuff worked, so thank you for that. Buildings are playing sound effects again, which is very nice. Between yesterday and today, I was also last night able to figure out what was causing the issues with the Firebat corpse. So before it was not actually showing, but turns out the problem was actually with the it was basically an issue with the sprite entry. So if we go to, oh, I don't have Notepad++ open, but yeah, there's just like a small section of sprites, 612, 613, 614, and these three just would not display. So that was also what I was using for the Southpaws projectile, where I just copied over the burst laser for now, but I wanted it to not make any sound on impact. And that's because it's like a short range ability or short range weapon, and it's a very fast moving weapon. So it taking up 2 sound channels, plus the fact that I didn't want that sound associated with that weapon anyway, was pretty bad. So I was able to fix that. Obviously, you guys can't hear that, but whatever. It's just one of those things where I was very surprised that there were just a couple of entries that weren't working, but that has happened before. That's not exactly like a new thing. So. How's progress on HYDRA? HYDRA is coming along very nicely. I still have... I'll show you. This is the set of to-dos. The AI is actually, even though it's a smaller thing for the AI, there's still a number of issues with this. Like, I'm going to need to do more work than it looks like for this list. But... and I've got to do the animations and stuff. I should also add in Basilisk Borrow animation. So I'm still gonna have to do more of this stuff, but the what's it called? Like the mainstay or the main takeaway is like, I mean, once we get the Gladius bounce fixed, because I think there were still some issues with that, that'll be really cool. Like these two are kind of lower on the priority list, I guess, so I could like put those down there. It would be nice to fix the Imgal use LO issues. I sent you some documentation on what I would figure, like a new iScript command or something, or hard coding the behavior using sig orders or something in GPTP, where we take the image and we make it inherit the frame set direction from the source graphic, and then we make that direction permanent for that that thing. So I don't know what you think the best option would be. We could do something where it's a sig order on the image overlay itself, something like taking the Pariah attack overlay, or the, if you remember the Akhmek attack overlay from Toddborn that I think you're using in Overlord, that would be like a case where we could take the image, the iScript for that image, and then put a sig order on it, in theory, if we needed to. Or we could do it some other way. I don't really know what the best implementation would be, but I just know that ultimately we need the frame, like the direction, the facing angle of the projectile to not turn once it's set. So it needs to be like set, inherited based on what the source unit was facing at the time, and then it needs to, continue on that route. So I don't know how easy that will actually be, but ultimately it is just a cosmetic issue. It's just one that I would really like to fix, because I do think there's a lot of it's like the last thing that's really annoying me about the Pariah. Like, the Pariah is a really, really good unit in terms of how it's come together. And if we could just fix that one little issue where it doesn't, you can see the trail there if I move it real quick. So if we could just fix that small issue, there would be no, like, immersion breaking aesthetic stuff, and we would be able to, like, pretty comfortably, feel pretty good about the unit, I think. Obviously, I have to, like, give it voice acting and a custom sound effect and all that shit, but for the most part, I think that would be a really nice approach. Is that you, Jun3 Hong? I can't tell based on your username, because we have a couple Koreans that come in every now and then. But if it is you, welcome. And even if it isn't you, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Let me test that apostle stuff. Medic. All right, so we'll... Oh, yeah. I can't be within range. I was thinking, I was actually thinking that we would have an interesting... Alright, let's see what happens. Oh. I guess he was healed and I forgot to stim him again. God damn it. Alright, it's alright. Just wait for this. Yeah, you were telling me earlier you're kind of lacking motivation for Overlord. You should just make war crap for your map crap, your full toilet. War crap in HYDRA or something. It'll be fine. I promise. How does this guy get healed? Or did I probably just forgot to stim him again. It's fine. It doesn't look like it worked. She's still broken. I'm just gonna double check that I added the right one. So this was 12:16 p.m. on what day? Yeah. Is there something I have to enable in GPTP for the change? I'm just saying, if you're feeling low in terms of motivation on Overlord, like what helps me is knowing that I can just map crap some maps together using the, like, maybe even the HYDRA melee AI without any changes, and using using Ahmed and like a comedy premise. Like, it's super easy, no pressure. It's definitely an easy project. Like, it's not going to be as epic as Deliverance, or, you know, if you did Warcrap instead of Overlord, it wouldn't be as epic as Overlord. But if you wanted to, like, if you were looking for a way to just, we almost need a map crap in the middle of full toilet development because we've been just toiling away at the same project for so long. So yeah, the graphic for the auger is just a recolored Archon. Oh. I don't know why it has that one dot on its eye or something. that seems like it's a bit of a bug, but you know, we aren't. That's pretty much it right now. And obviously, its projectile is not implemented yet. It's not even the right weapon name, but yeah, it's technically implemented in terms of like it'll slowly lose shields until it dies. What's up, Mutas Dozen? And disregard the portrait of fucking De Gaulle. But it's like a golden Archon. Dark gold. Bronze, if you will. And then when he runs out of shields, he explodes. So he's still not fully implemented. But when he's in, it's pretty good. Hey, Mutas, I've been meaning to ask, have you seen the Lazarus Agent ability in action? Because you might really like it. I'll do a quick demo anyway, because I just can't get enough of it personally. I think it's epic. Trying to think of what other units have access to this. Defiler. I've spawned so many units that I memorized their fucking codes. Drop nuke on them. I feel like that ruins the impact, dude. All right, so it's from this new unit here, the Apostle, and it's pretty epic. Just gonna have to gather around, one and all. Hey, get out of the way, dude. So far, it's only this ability only has animations implemented for the. I'll turn on the audio because that's a big part of it, but It only has animations implemented for the vanilla units, the vanilla ground units. I still have to do the air units, and then I have to do all of the new ground units. But it's only organics. So the quintessential one that I always like to take a look at is the classic, you know, the fucking the Marine. It's cool to see zombies rise from the dead in a nuclear cloud. Yeah, pretty much, man. Anytime you're ready. I know, right? So they get revived with half of their max HP. And whatever energy they had upon death. So it's pretty fucking epic, in my opinion. Just imagine the horror.
Want to turn up the heat. Naturally.
Ahmed's back, baby. This is tier... Technically, you can... Well, this ability requires science facility, so that's tier 3. But you can get it as soon as you hit the... I haven't added the button yet, but you can get it as soon as you hit the mid bay, which is tier 2. So the ability itself is positional. It's all units within 4 range. We don't have reads for when the ability activates yet. There will be a read on the unit as it's reviving, so there'll be like an overlay that appears in addition to the death animation, I think. Maybe it'll end up being too noisy, so I'm not 100% sure about that one. But there will definitely be a read for when the ability initially hits the target. Like when you cast it, there will be an ability, a read that plays for all affected units. And I want there to be like a subtle green glow that's almost like an outline of the unit itself that like plays. And it's like a sickly green in my mind. Like I've pictured it in my head because it's such a cool unit, in my opinion. So I really want that to happen. Like something that you may have noticed when I killed the Apostle earlier by accident with a Psystorm is that if we were to come down here and kill this guy, right? Well, besides playing the wrong sound file right now, but it's green, right? His corpse is green, and I kind of want that as well. Like I want the death animation to be green initially, or maybe green after they die, and the implementation or the implication rather, the subtext is, oh shit, you know, this is he was already dead when he came out. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what I want the corpses to be after they've already been revived. I want them to be green instead. Just as part of the lore. I don't know if that'll be something that I can implement in this, but like the subtlety of the storytelling there is like, you know, something's happened to these guys, you know? Hey, is that my blood? Yeah, exactly. I was kind of skeptical about the blood at first. The corpse staying there, but I kind of think it's cool. Like, it adds to it. Like, you see them reform, and like there's still some like environmental object there that says like, oh, they did actually die at first though. It's just like the whole thing is really cool to me. I think some people initially they thought it was a little goofy that there was the whole reverse sound, but to me, I think that adds to like almost the horror, if you will. You know what I mean? It only affects organic units. So unfortunately, Dragoons are not, like, they don't count. But it would kind of be pretty cool anyway to see, like, a Dragoon or a Hierophant or something reform in the same way. Like I would love to do an animation like that, honestly. So I'm just from a rule of cool kind of thing, I am tempted to make an exception, but it just wouldn't make sense from a gameplay perspective. It is supposed to be an organic thing. That being said, it doesn't rule out that maybe there could be some sort of similar mechanic implemented for machines or something like that in the future. Yeah, yeah. That would be one way to do it for sure.
I'm here.
All right, so there's been a request to nuke these clowns, so we'll do that, I guess. I just have to reapply the effect because
Nuclear missile ready.
Gotta do that. Gather round. I've also scripted out the unit responses for this stuff, so I don't have them implemented yet, but
I'm here.
But the other thing too is like, while it's unlikely for you to nuke them in the same way, imagine a world where you like you're the opponent and you walk in, you start executing all these infantry and they just reform right in front of you. Like the element there, that's pretty fucking cool in my opinion. So I don't know, man. I think that'll be really neat. And they're back. Round 2. And yeah, I did make a Firebat death animation specifically because I wanted them to reform instead of just coming into existence like the SCV does. So that's what that is. There is even a more involved animation than it looks like because of the explosion effect, but unless I can find a thinner or smaller explosion effect, I still want the Firebat to blow up. I mean, for one, it's part of the sound file. Like there's that detonation sound as well as the ah, but there should be a little bit, like, I think that makes sense because they're running around with like napalm or something, and whatever sort of flammable agent they've got on their back. They've got those flame tanks, and that makes sense to do. So I don't know, just some thinking. But yes, thinking about that in team play, exactly. Like that's one of the really exciting things about this is like if you can even imagine a situation where even in a campaign or something, like imagine the Brood War campaign for all my campaign boys out there, right? Imagine a Brood War campaign where you're fighting against the UED and they've got apostles running around with Zerg. Like, that's fucking cool. Like the idea of apostles just enchanting the Zerg ally or something, you know what I mean? Like that's something that you could see. Like it almost fits already as a unit concept, like in terms of team play. And it's just another thing. Like obviously you can do it with Zealots, Legionnaires, Hierophants, Dark Templar. There's like a bunch of new organic Protoss units. So you could do it with a couple of Protoss stuff as well. But oh yeah, there is a beta Firebat death sound. I forgot about that. I would like it to change their voice lines, honestly, even if it was just like a subtle filter put on it or something. But I haven't decided. I mean, for one, that's like it's already a crazy amount of not really feature creep, but like labor creep to like make all the animations every single. Like, I'm making entire animations and graphics for and sounds obviously for every single unit that could possibly get revived. So the idea of like adding on to that and then finding a way to program it technically, like it would be a lot more tempting if all I had to do was actually put together the sounds that were going to get changed. You know what I mean? Like if all I had to do was throw in a filter onto the sounds and then send them in there. But like we have to come up with a system that will actually play those sounds differently or change the unit responses if they have that flag or something like that. So like if that system already existed, that would be something. But like putting in that technical work in a situation where we don't yet have that system, I don't know about that one yet. But anyway, I was also thinking of doing an SCV death animation, even though it seems a little weird to do. In my personal opinion, I think every unit should have a death animation. Like, at least every ground unit should leave behind a corpse of some kind. Siege tanks, vultures, you know, like, shouldn't just be organic units and dragoons. I find it weird that it's like that. So, yeah, I mean, I can sympathize with that, Iquare, because like that's another thing where I'm really pleased with the idea of going into what's it called? I'm really excited to go into a different approach for when we have the new engine, and we don't have to be worried about like whether or not the engine can handle our ideas. Like if we reduce the burden or the time burden, right? If we take the amount of time that you have between coming up with an idea and then implementing and testing that idea and seeing if it's good, if we can take that time and shorten it, which is essentially the whole reason behind the new engine, then we will be so much better equipped to figure out what ideas actually could work, or to what extent ideas could work, and we'll see some really cool stuff, I think. So just realized Pegasus was still called Alacanth internally, so I should fix that just because. All right. It's really exciting to have unlimited sound entries now too. That's really fucking cool. Just gonna remove the old GRP file. And we can go ahead and toss that up there. So yeah, that medic check that you did didn't actually seem to fix it, unfortunately. All right, correct internal name for Pegasus. Fix firebat death or percent. I think there was something else that I did, but I don't remember. Oh no, they do not revive. They don't affect enemy units. So there are other. I didn't even demonstrate this, but it's actually a really like the reason why you would get this unit to begin with. It's going to have less attack speed, but maybe a bit more upfront damage. It might have 10 instead of, it deals 9 damage right now, which is kind of an odd number. So what I might do is make it deal 10 damage, which is the same as the Ghost, 10 concussive damage, but it'll have less attack speed is my idea currently. But this unit basically works like they have this passive called Blood Tithe. And it's when an apostle attacks an organic target, any allied organic within 3 range of the target is healed for 10% of the target's max health. So kind of a wordy description, but it's really easy to understand if you take an Ultralisk and then you take, some Marines, and the Ultralisk has 400 health, so you're going to be healing these Marines for 40 HP per hit. So I get this guy down to 10, and he's back up. So that's like a case where obviously, I mean, it's super effective against Zerg because all of their units are organic. All of their buildings are organic. Like I'm going to heal them for 30 every time one of these guys attacks a sunken colony. But you got to get into position, and the lower attack speed is going to allow you to burst these units. And also the fact that it's a low range as well. Like it's mostly useful with fire bats or anything that's like a lower range unit, right? So again, another reason to get them in team games when you're fighting alongside Zerg or alongside like Zealot or Legionnaire Protoss in a situation where you can like buff them up in terms of their health. Doesn't affect shields, doesn't heal shields, but obviously if I were to attack like a Zealot or something, the fact that they have 100 HP means that I guess it takes the total of their HP and shields, so I guess that should probably be... Oh, I think that's fine. Like, max health. I guess it could be maximum life in the tooltip to indicate that it's more than just HP. But, yeah. So that's why you would get them normally. That's why they're like a strange kind of healer, where they mandate positioning against a specific kind of enemy in order to do that. But they're going to be most well known for their tier 3 ability, right? The ability you get from them at tier 3. They don't currently have any other way to generate energy, but I think that's okay because they can still be very effective with their passive. Like they can still find combat utility. The other thing is that if they get rushed down by, say, an Ultralisk, I mean, right now that's why I need to nerf their attack speed, because they could, in theory, kill it. I mean, this is a case where obviously the Ultralisk has lifesteal, so this battle would go on forever. Some say they are still fighting to this day. Whereas obviously if they have lower attack speed, that would be a little... I mean, they probably still would be fighting forever because they're both life-stealing. But in a situation like that, I don't know exactly what would happen. But that's a case where the mechanic kind of runs away, perhaps. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. They recovered energy when allied units die. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Like that, the thing is that would be prime, like primo real estate for an upgrade, but we're not doing upgrades anymore. So I'm not really sure how I would go about changing that in a way that makes sense. Because otherwise, that would definitely make them a super powerful unit if they could just recast Lazarus Agent. But I kind of like the fact that they could if they were positioned correctly. Like if they were within their weapon range, say, of an enemy or of an ally that dies, and then their ally revives because of Lazarus Agent, and then they get that energy back and cast Lazarus Agent again. Like, I like the fact that it's syncing up. It's like the whole idea is that it's like benefiting from death or something like that. That's a core element of the unit, is interaction with death anyway. Like, I really like the idea that could happen, is what I'm saying. So I just don't know if it would make sense or if it would be reasonable. But this unit is rather expensive. I think I was actually planning on increasing its cost as well, in terms of gas cost at least. It's very vulnerable to burst. Like if you just burst target it or you feedback it. Well, you can't feedback directly, but you can maelstrom with a projectile and that feedbacks. So that would basically be an instant death if they had a certain amount. Like they have a low HP pool, right? So I'll probably reduce their movement speed slightly, increase their cost. I'm going to be increasing their attack cooldown, so decreasing their attack speed. I think they would still be a very powerful unit, especially with the energy changing consideration. But I think it's possible for there to be counterplay because like they could just get bursted. The army you use Psystorm, and if you catch them right at the right moment where they die on the first couple ticks of Psystorm, they would revive and probably die again immediately because of the storm. Or like the follow-up storm would be super easy for that sort of thing. So I think it's possible, is what I'm getting at. I think it's possible to counterplay it. You know, if you just have AoE, they're reviving with half HP. So you get a 40 HP Marine that dies and comes back as a 20 HP Marine. It's probably going to get one attack off or something if he's lucky. You know what I mean? Like, it's really not that much value. What happens is like it's a way to add persistence. So yeah, I think it's possible. Is what I'm saying. I think it's feasible to do that, especially if you have like medics mixed in with the army. You could still get a lot of value out of the unit, and you can also still have plenty of counterplay. So great idea, Luciferius. Apostles are affected by their own Lazarus Agent as well. But yes, maybe it would only regen from units dying that aren't affected by Lazarus. Yeah, I guess I can see that, but it just feels kind of lame to gate it in that sense. Because like it's almost like you're acknowledging the potential for more of an interaction with this theme, but you're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like that's what that feels like to me. It's like, oh, that's kind of lame. Like they even knew that they could have gone further with this and they didn't. You know, like if I played a game and it had that mechanic, but it was specifically like, you've got this one ability that generates this benefit on death. But if somebody, and you've got this passive that gives you this unit some benefit on death, but if they interact, they can't interact with each other. Like it feels weird, I guess. Like I would feel like that would be kind of lame. It might just be that the unit ends up being busted, but presumably I could do enough to balance the unit out by like messing around with its movement speed or something, or its vulnerability or its cost, in order to still make it useful, you know? Like, it should be a loss when you actually do lose an apostle, rather, for real. Also, hi, Div. How are you? Minor AI built insane amounts of militia and ruined the performance. I can only imagine. I accidentally gave it more movement speed than it should have. So we'll fix that. And then I was checking config. Oh, yeah. How could I forget? Oh, they're already at 150 gas. I think that's pretty good. Set them to 100 minerals, I suppose. And then this can be 10 and 2.25. We'll just say 2.2. We'll test that out. We'll see how that feels. I can't realistically kick them up a tier because the whole theme, or if you want to call it that, or like the gameplay rule of Terrans is that when they build an add-on, they get everything associated with that add-on. So you gate the add-on by tech tiers, but not the units. So, like, again, I haven't added the button yet, but the Apostle should just be here when you have a medbay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to... the other thing is that they can't even benefit from Lazarus Agent's interaction of energy. That's another thing, too. I guess I can't realistically add that benefit unless Lazarus Agent is available by default. Because they have nothing else to spend money on, or spend energy on, you know what I mean? Unless their heal is gated by energy, in which case I could reduce the attack speed or revert the attack speed nerf. But then they would just spend all their energy on that. So I don't really like that either. Like, there's not really a way to interact with the energy system. It just does it automatically for you, so... I think I just go even further with their cost and make Lazarus Agent available by default rather than worry about Science Vessel or Science Facility Tech. And then it's like, it does feel like weird that it would be a tier 2 unit and not a tier 3 one. But I think that's just a casualty of the limited system that we're in. If I had unlimited unit entries, I would just make like an advanced production structure or something for Terrans that would train Apostles. And that structure itself would be tier 3. And I don't know if I would bother. I think add-ons would unlock different things at these different tier structures. So you could get like a medbay for the barracks and it unlocks shamans, but you could also drop an advanced barracks and get a medbay and that unlocks apostles or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like I would have done completely different things if I had more possibilities. Possibilities. So yeah, I think that energy thing just goes up that way. Yeah, it's a little bit more reasonable. In terms of their movement speed. Now they're in line with everything else. What is the, for reference, what is the normal concussion rifle? Oh, okay. We'll try 2. Second cooldown. All right, we'll do that. And then I think I have to go into Unit Destructor Special and add a proc for what I'm doing here. Trying to think of a compelling thematic name for the I'll call it that for now, but I know this is for unit, so this would be like victim, I guess. So then here we would just say unit energy. Imagine Warcraft version of Twilight of the Gods. Is that the Night Elf mission? Giant macro battle of UED, Terrans, and Protoss against Amon. Doesn't it suck to know that you can't even do anything large scale in Brood War? Like, you can't even have more than 2k units? Night Elves are going to be UED, okay. Oh shit, did I give you an idea? Are you being spurred on to action to make some war crap, map crap? I think five energy per victim is probably fine. 5 energy per nearby. Oh yeah, the other thing I have to check here is if they're organic. Do I have to wrap this in a... No. Oh, it looks like I should. For one of my backgrounds, I'll accidentally fix CCME. Yeah, I like that. Dude, I agree. TBH. Alright, so where is the... simulacrum... Oh, I see. So actually, I don't even have to really worry about this for the proc. I can just copy this. Because for the... apostle, energy, behavior... All right, cool. It's super easy to put in like behaviors like this. It's really weird to me that it's like that. Honestly. Since Lazarus Agent is within 4 range, I feel like we can just do 4 range for this behavior as well. I think Death Wish was used in Toddborn. I can't call it that. Are we able to make Apostle Healing effect be a toggle? Well, I probably could, but I don't really like that. Just because, for one, there's not an obvious way to indicate when the Apostles' attacks are like that. Like, in theory, I could change the projectile... I could change the muzzle flash or something, but there's not really an easy way for that to be read by the opponent. And for I don't really think it needs to be tied to energy anyway. I think it should just be a passive and we can balance around that. But it is admittedly a balancing lever I could pull if I wanted to rework part of the unit. But it's more than just the read thing for me. Like, I want to make sure that obviously the unit is intelligible for people, but I also want to provide some sort of unifying identity behind the unit. Like, it's not even just the fact that there would need to be reads that we don't currently have. To some extent, that could be implemented. The bigger issue for me is you don't know how powerful this unit actually is at all stages, right? In a way, that's kind of true for other units that have toggles, but I feel like there's a... usually those units are only acting in the interest of their own. Like it's, oh, this unit's moving slower and attacking for longer. You know, it's like something that affects that unit. Whereas this affects any number of units depending on how many units are nearby the victim, right? And how many of those are organic. So that's something where I would prefer to make that, since it's an interaction with other units, I would prefer to make that 100% consistent. Just from a conceptual standpoint. But I understand the potential value of tying it to energy so that it's another consideration to make. So we'll see. I wonder if I already do an organic. I don't think so, but something larger than 256 by 256 probably. I just went with something simple for now. Last breath. We'll see if it gets any bigger, any grander. Oh yeah, you're talking about Warcraft. What is the crossing? I don't even remember. League of Legends items. Gross. Oh yeah. The tower defense map. Thrall left for caverns with SCVs. Yeah, thank fucking God. I don't want to deal with micro missions, dude. Micro missions. Where my apostle at, boy? I agree, but yeah, like you're saying, it's pretty difficult to do in this engine, I feel like. Alright, let's test to make sure that this shit worked. Is he out of range? So it seems to work. I just have to add a read. So for now, I guess I can use the... Wasn't there a... I don't know where not Astral Aegis. There was some behavior for the... oh, it's Ascendancy, but I don't know where that is. Maybe it's Weapon Fire? Or Weapon Damage? Why? Wait, why are they all over here? I don't understand. So it's 425 is the thing there. Yeah, having those... I mean, that was basically just a series of fucking puzzles, which was pretty stupid, but... Hard-coded RNG random management, by the way. That's it. Don't say that. TBH. Oh wait, I didn't even add this, did I? Gotta actually add the changes so that I can see them. I still remember, I think it was like Dagoth or something was one of the vampires or one of the dreadlords. Alright. I'll have to get an actual graphic for that at some point, but it's done. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to take a quick BRB here. And when I come back, we're going to smash out some more work. Probably on the animations for the Basilisk. I also have to check out some wireframes that June 3 sent me a while back. Let me see if I can find them in my DMs. And that's the one for the Cascathalor. So I'll go ahead and implement those when I come back. And yeah, that's about it. BRB. I have returned. So, let's do it up, dude. Let's get those wireframes in. Let's get these animations done. I kind of forget what the animations were, or what the unit IDs were, rather. So we got 129. And then the Kiscathalor is 96. All right, so those are in now. All right, so I'm thinking for this, we're going to want to... I mean, I think I already have a PSD prepped for this somewhere. What is this anyway? 672 divided by 7 is 96. That much we all knew. So yeah, I don't really know what the overall look will be. But I kind of like the idea of it sort of like just emerging from the egg, like it's already standing up or something. I don't know if that would really, like, I don't know if that's going to look epic or not, but that's my idea right now. I'm making a copy of it before I do any more edits to the actual layers so that I can use that as the reference. So that when I'm doing stuff like this where I move some shit down, makes a bit more sense. So we'll call this, I think that's fine for like frame 2. That might even be like frame 3, honestly. So obviously we can like copy that back or over here and take the head and move it further down. Upper can go down as well. This is left arm. And we'll obviously like goop and mask out some parts of it, like the feet, for example, will be revealed over time. In my thought process, anyway. That looks fine to me. So then we have to like sort of take this, move it over, and do like yes. Wait. Okay, yeah, I do remember that actually. That was some real sick shit. That's where I had some fucking mental breakdown in the middle of that because of some psychotic AI storm that I lost my mind on, so that was pretty epic. But yeah, I remember it all right. Oh yeah, you delete that then. I don't know what I just did, but it looks like it was pretty bad. Maybe I just selected a different tool or something. Yeah, we've come a long way, man. Don't you think? I have to be a little bit cognizant of how I set this up because of the fact that there's a lot of difference between like the egg frame and the first frame if I didn't like cut away some of that stuff, so macro-oriented Warcraft 3 campaigns? I don't think so. I think the closest you ever got was that terrible arcane stuff. And then maybe a few of some other shit, I guess. I don't know. No, I couldn't handle it. It was too annoying. It's like 3 hours per mission because of all of the pre-play shit. It was so boring. I didn't suffer through all of Wanderers of Sorceria. Only, I think, the first 2 or 3 chapters. There's like 6 or something. He didn't contact me. So what happened was Alexander was a fan of Arcane, and then upon just growing as an individual, but also watching my playthrough, he realized how flawed it was and started to like. He was interacting in the chat, basically. Like he was looking at the chat in that, and he was like, I guess somebody found a screenshot of some of his messages in the chat on YouTube, like the YouTube chat of the stream, and was like, look at this guy, you know, chatting in this stream or something. And it was like guilt by association, as far as I understand. Like just straight up fucking childish shit, you know? Where they decided that because he was in my chat and he wasn't like defending the game, the mod or something to the same extent as what was expected or whatever, that there was some shit to be had there or something. I don't know. Like I don't know all the details fully either from what went on behind the scenes, but I know that played a part in it. So that was like a core element of it. So it was just goofy shit. Like there was no reason for there to be any personal attacks or whatever. Like if you just don't like it, not that big of a deal. Like it's an opportunity for him to potentially improve his content if he wants to engage with criticism. No, I know. Especially back then, I wasn't necessarily like all above board with the way that I would approach certain things. Like I'm sure a lot of the stuff I said was incendiary, or you know, I felt like I was being disrespected by the content that was there. So I probably wasn't very respectful. I honestly have jettisoned a lot of the memories of that particular production, but I remember it being really boring. And so I'm sure I was very rude, we'll say, or perhaps not the nicest at the very least. You know, if you wanted to take a charitable interpretation of his actions, the author's actions there, like, yeah, maybe you're not obligated to interact with every single bit of criticism or every single bit of, feedback. And that's fine. But for him to like blackball somebody who helped him in the development of the project, that's where that famous quote came from, where he said that he trusts Alexander to keep his standards away from Arcane. And that's like, I will never let that guy live that one down. Like, come on, man, that's too rich. You're literally saying don't bring standards into the equation. Don't have standards about my project. Like, come on, man, you're making my laugh too easy here. Usually I have to earn those laughs, but you're just coming out and saying it. I mean, that guy was kind of a lol cow in the first place anyway. If that term is even still used now, that would be I think an apt descriptor. He was like, thinks orc porn is hot or something. I don't know. There's some weird shit going on with that guy, but whatever, man. He makes his content. He's found a niche. People are enjoying it. People are asking for more. I don't know why. I couldn't personally stomach it, but yeah, I couldn't make it past Human Book 2 because he like doubled down on all the pre-play stuff. I don't know if you'll remember it, Luciferius. It was a long time ago that I played it. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it independently, but basically it was like, that was the game where if you played on hard, This doesn't really narrow it down, unfortunately. But if you played on hard, the enemy just started with 3/3 upgrades and all of the researches. So there was a point where their raiders that were dealing siege damage were killing my upgraded infantry. Like I had like some captains or something that were like 800 health or something, like relatively decent base units. But because I'm playing on hard, there's like 4 raiders guarding a gold mine that were executing my dudes, even though their damage type was completely wrong for that kind of fight. Like by all accounts, I should have been able to be fine in that. Like that's a memory that I have now that I'm thinking about it. Like that was some sick stuff, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of shit like that where like it's super lazy. Like he's not even trying to make the AI compete with you. He's just handing them benefits and then waiting for you to slog through it all, I guess. It's pretty boring. I don't know why people are big fans of that personally, but at some point I started, I think it was around the Orc book, or no, it was the Undead book maybe. There was some point where I had Dynamo on for some co-casts for that, because that was the only way I could stomach it anymore. I was so fucking exhausted of dealing with it myself. I had to bring that guy on and have him suffer along with me. Yeah, it's just a situation where people don't really seem to aspire to greatness, right? Like they're not looking to radically improve or reinvent what it means to be a custom campaign or an RTS project or whatever. So that's what I'm looking to do. Like I want shit to be really, really, really good. I want it to be way better than it was. I want all that stuff. So that's my motivation anyway. That's why I do what I do. And that also colors a lot of my commentary when I play other people's work too, I think. It's like, I understand that most people aren't necessarily interested in that sort of approach, but I don't understand why more people don't at least try to like improve. Like the situation with Arcane is so obvious, right? Because hold on. It's super obvious with Arcane because you're literally dealing with a situation where like this guy's been making content for years, if you can call it content. He's been producing Warcraft 3 projects for years. And well, at least when I stopped playing his content, it was actually getting worse, not better. You would think as you get better, some aspect of it gets better. Like as you progress and as you make more content, some part of it gets better. I haven't played his most recent stuff, if he's even making stuff. Because the other thing that this guy did all the time was he would just say, I'm done, this is my last project. But he said that like every single time. And it read to me, and again, this might just be an uncharitable view, but it read to me like it was bait for people to come in and say, oh, please don't leave, we love your work. Like it was bait for people to come in and say that, you know, like sympathy bait or something. I just feel like there's got to be something that you can figure out when it comes to that stuff that doesn't require other people to like come in and essentially do like a bunch of work for you in that turn. And when it comes to like keeping yourself motivated or whatever, you know? So I don't know. Those are just my 2 cents. But like, if you can't find the motivation yourself, then you shouldn't be expecting it to come from other people. I've worked day in, day out for almost a year now on this stuff. So I just can't sympathize with the idea that you're doing that shit. So I don't know. Maybe he's just only interested in, I think he is only interested in writing stories, but even in that front, he's not particularly successful. So I don't know about that. It's just like for me, I really don't get the idea of doing that. Because even if that's not what he's trying to do, he's not trying to sympathy bait or whatever, retirement bait. Even if that's not what he's doing, that's what it feels like it is. Like that's the public perception for me anyway. That's what I see when I look at it. So maybe that's just me being cynical or not giving him enough credit or something, but it just feels like such a lame thing. Like even if I was I'm feeling a lack of motivation. Like that's just what I would say is I'm feeling a lack of motivation. And I'd go into some details to like explain the motivational thing and like actually give some context. You know, it's like, I don't know. I don't really see that much of a benefit to like doing it publicly or whatever. Yeah, hopefully when the regular map craps come back and they're like once a month or whatever, or no, it's like every other week, I think. I think hopefully at that point we'll have a bit more of a spike in motivation to keep working on stuff because it'll be like these smaller scale projects that don't really take that much time. Just gonna enjoy some lunch real quick. Hold on. I think it already has. I mean, you could play the current one in multiplayer if you wanted to. Obviously, it's almost a month behind the development patch. The next patch is going to be fucking insane, like probably the biggest patch that we've had, and we've had some pretty big patches lately. But yeah, I think it's already improved the way the game feels overall in multiplayer because it's designed for team games, so it's designed for like 3v3 or 4v4 or something like that, or free for alls. Wonder if that'll be too jarring, the fact that it's set to the left for a couple frames. I can always fix that later. I also want to import this other frame real quick, though. Of course I can't. XD. Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. Is like even if you want to make like a pre-placed brigade nonsense base, at least I've got way more opportunities for that. You know, way more opportunities to play around with that. All right. Try that again. Oh, shit. Yeah, this is way off in terms of the height. So let's take this, and then we'll preview it in Photoshop and see what the height differences are, so we can figure that out. Like, if I have to take this. I don't know if this is actually pasting it exactly in the center, but... So it looks like we need to go up by 12, and then to the left, to the right by 1. So we need to go down by 12, which I think I can just do by doing something really simple. Oh, no, I don't think that would actually work, so never mind. Shouldn't be too difficult to figure out, though. Make Zerg hatch back into eggs. Could you imagine? I've worked with StarCraft 2 in the past, but it's never been for any like project that got off the ground in the same way. Because most of it was collaborations with people who didn't end up being particularly epic, unfortunately. So I think it's 4 and 5. All right, let's do 1, 2, 3. All right, so hold on. Let's reverse engineer this from... Go back over here. Excuse me. So we know this is the orientation that we need this guy to be at, which is kind of weird. So if we then take this, this, we can move it to the right, that's fine. In fact, we can shift all of these to the right, I think. You can do something like... I think these needed to be shifted to the right more anyway. So then we could take this, shift that to the right, shift that to the right twice. So now we need to take these other ones and we need to push them up subtly as the animation progresses. I think 3 pixels difference should be fine. Because it's 3, so of course it's fine. All right. Should be goodish. I remember me being Alarak in Cyber Texas campaigns. Yeah, I did some really old voice acting in the past. What is this? Oh boy. Don't make me watch it. No. I refuse. I cannot watch whatever that is. All right, so let's test this out then. He does kind of seem to just shift up, which is kind of weird. I think he's also... Yeah, the transition between 5 and 6 over here is kind of whack. Like, for one, it's 100% the case that there's like too much goop. Or not necessarily too much. But the ratio is out of whack here because there's like a lot over here, but not a whole lot anywhere else. So like not a whole lot on the next frame, so it's like too much of a gap, I guess, is the best way I can put it. So yeah, I think that's better. I also wonder if maybe it might make more sense for me to reset the elevation and then figure out why the unit itself is up so much. It's like, why? Oh, no, I don't know. I have no idea then. Couldn't tell you. Oh yeah, yeah. There would have been a much simpler way to fix this actually, since it's 12 pixels. The horizontal offset of 1 definitely is fine to fix in this. The vertical offset, I can just subtract 12 from the bottom, and or 6 from the bottom, or something like that, and by centering it, it'll shift. So that actually should be fine. I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner, but that's okay. At least it was an easy thing to remember. Easy, dude. Did I probably threw out my GRP? Or no, here it is. Yeah, that's... I think that's way better. The goop might actually be a little too heavy on some of the earlier frames or something, so maybe I'll make it fall off a little bit sooner, but... Oh wait, and then I don't think I subtracted 12 from the height. I can't wait till we work on the new engine and get some of this nonsense taken care of, because it's so annoying to have to deal with these tools the way that they are. Alright, we should be able to go ahead and close this. And just close that as well. And do I still have this open? Yep. Oops. All right, so let's find this. No, that's the wrong PyTBL. I guess I don't have the other one open though. Units from Armageddon, yep. From what you remember, I provided voice acting for a number of campaigns. Yeah, mostly Cybos X's stuff, I think. I don't think so. I think the tools will be fairly, like, I'm sure we'll make some quote unquote mistakes, or we'll just forget to add in certain things or whatever. But I think the tools are probably going to be fairly straightforward, personally. $11.65. So now we just go into here. All right, and then we just construction override. Wait, how did we... Oh, it's an image, okay. So then that's 1236 for the basilisk. Yes. The things that are marked with blue are the ones that will be provided. That will be able to be tweaked or implemented or whatever once that is taken care of. Huh. I just realized I think I used the wrong frame as the idle animation. Or as the base animation. But I think overall it looks okay. It's that that like little jitter that it has there. It's the problem, really. Once it's done. So we go to basilisk, net. I sent one to DF. He'll have it converted at some point. All right, so it is further up than it should be. So we're gonna subtract another, I guess we'll do another minus 12. Because that might be the missing bit there. All right, gotta index it, and then go ahead and what's anime? You? Yeah, that's much better. I'm kind of confused as to the. It might just be that my like initial first frame is a little too big or something, but like I'm not sure, but it doesn't actually seem like the egg is bursting open. It's like we're missing a frame or something. Whereas like if we look at like the I didn't really feel like that was the case for something like the Vorveling or whatever. I don't know, maybe it's the same for those and it's just harder to tell. Real obvious, oops, I just crashed the game because AI debug is not safe. XD. Like, I just do a quick lurker and that should tell me all I need to know here. Okay, I guess it's like that for all of them. It's just some look a little bit more jarring than others because I haven't seen them before because I literally just made them, so. No, I have to actually... I've got to make a death animation for the Basilisk, and then once I've done that, I have to make remnants for the Basilisk. But once the death animation is done, I can do the inverse. But for now, I think we can just comfortably plug in the, we'll say, implement Basilisk birth animation. And add Basilisk and Cascathalor wireframes. 3 Hong. Jump into... I don't remember what their thing is. It's like 60. This is the current graphic for the Cascathalor, since you were asking. It's got some weird shit, but like it's some jittering. But for the most part, it's done. I just have to do an overlay so that the projectiles come out from its little cannons there. But yeah, I have to fix some offsets for the frame too. Yeah, because I was trying to spawn an Ecclesias earlier, way back when, and I was typing spawn ECC, and that was also pretty stupid, so. Honestly, the AI debug plugin should just not... It should just, like, highlight it in red or something instead of actually trying to spawn a unit like that. It's really stupid. It's like, if it's greater than 228, it just shouldn't do it. I know it's not exactly safe in case we ever get unit ID extenders, but then you can just take that code out. Yeah, I remember. It's because I didn't have access to the whole shebang of the Armageddon assets that I had. I think that one looks better, generally speaking. All right, so we can take out that Basilisk animation because I just did that. I do have to make animations for some units actually cocooning into themselves. I don't actually know how I should implement that, actually. Yeah, I wouldn't get behind it personally, just because they've been public on Twitter and other places saying that they are not to go to Twitter as the obvious way in, but I'll find some tweet. I was trying to talk some sense into people. Didn't spend too much time, admittedly, but if I can scroll past enough shit. Yeah, here we go. So, like, I like this interview, which, or it's not really an interview as much as it is like fucking, I guess it is a bit of an interview. But there's some information here, right? And so, like, some of the stuff that they said slated to be more a casual game is what I tweeted out. And then stuff like complexity or something. There was something like automated coaching tips and stuff. Yeah, accessibility. That's what it was. So, like, really the problem is that they're more likely to take the games or take the genre into a casual manner, because that's how you succeed with getting people into the door. And like they're trying to, presumably anyway, they're going to be trying to make stuff like that. And like some people think that there's a separate thing between accessibility and having the genre be more casual. Like, they are the same thing. There's accessibility problems. There's probably some UI issues that you could resolve from some of these existing games. There's some things that are like, it's not a complete dichotomy where it's either it's accessible and hard and casual, or it's inaccessible and hardcore. But a lot of what people would cite as what reasons why they don't want to play RTS games are things that make the RTS genre what it is, like requiring precision and mechanical skill, and having a deep amount of strategy. And when games steer away from these things, they become really bad games. Warcraft 3 was a really obvious example. Starcraft 2, a very obvious example. These games are shadows of what Brood War was and shadows of even what Warcraft 2 was. And Warcraft 2 was not that great either because it was very, very simple. And a lot of it was very much parity. Like one race is very, very much the same as another race besides some spellcasters. Like that's the meme is like you get ogre knights instead of paladins. And that's pretty much it. So like, even despite that, it was still more of an RTS experience to play Warcraft 2 than it was to play Warcraft 3. Just like playing Brood War is more of an RTS experience than playing Starcraft 2. I mean, Starcraft 2 has that flocking feature where it forces your units to clump up even if you don't want them to, which completely obliterates balance and stuff, right? Starcraft 2 is admittedly more of an RTS than Warcraft 3, but it still pushed the genre into this sort of more accessible, more casual framework where you lose out on being able to tell who's got the better mechanical skill because the game is automating so many actions. And from there, it just spiraled outward. Now we have basically mobile games where a lot of it is just you tapping some stuff, You're removing the real-time aspect slowly but surely. So anyway, long and the short of it is, I hope that a good RTS game comes out. I mean, I'm a negative Nancy. Most people would look at me and say that I'm too cynical or I don't appreciate the good stuff enough or whatever, like the good of certain games enough. But really, I'm like, I describe myself as an elitist with full knowledge of what kind of baggage that term has, but it's because I actually respect the genre and I know what it's capable of. I know what its potential is. I want to see it succeed. I want to see really good games come out. But I also am realistic enough to know that, for one, not many people like playing RTS games because they're so hard, because they're challenging. And for another, if you casualify the genre or you make the genre more accessible, it's not going to make the games more fun to play. If anything, it's going to do the opposite. Like, you can't really have both, Like, MOBAs are where the RTS genre went. And most people couldn't even imagine controlling an entire army and a base at the same time. Like, basically the RTS genre forked off into both MOBAs and RTTs, real-time tacticals, like Company of Heroes, where you don't actually have a base as much as you have an army. So you're seeing like the overall scale of what you're actually able to control as a player go down as time goes on. Squads steal control away from the player by automating that kind of stuff. Starcraft 2's pathfinding, Warcraft 3's pathfinding, very similar. Like, that's going down. The amount of player control is going down, and that's not what I want to see, because I think the genre is at its best when you have a lot of powerful potential and the ability to express your skill as a player. But that comes at the cost of being able to express when you're not so skilled either, and express your, low skill play as well. So yeah, make it accessible for custom content developers. That is one thing they did say that they were going to try to do is to unleash custom content or whatever, community content, I think they called it, or something like that. So if that's the case, hey, I'm all for that as well, because maybe somebody else, maybe it won't be great. Maybe their game won't be great, but who cares if I can make something great in that engine or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, if somebody comes around and makes something that is actually great, that can still be good. Like Tiberian Dawn, CNC1, its source code is apparently going to be released by EA or has already been released or something like that. Like, that's great. I want to see more of that, because realistically speaking, like the cynical among us who are those elitists, who are those people who only care about quality, we recognize that game developers are very seldom delivering on the quality levels that we want them to. And regardless of how we feel about that, if we at least have the tools to make it happen ourselves, if enthusiasts have the tools, if modders, if these people have the tools to make their own content that is great, and they don't have to worry about budget because they're doing it out of passion or whatever, that's great too. And that's something that should be celebrated when it does show up. It's just that it's very rare that you'll get that level of autonomy, I guess. So Oh yeah, that's another thing where they had automated so much stuff there's not really a reason to look at your base anymore. And so they felt insecure about that, and they added all those macro mechanics to force you to do things on cooldown, at which point you may as well just be a robot. Like, if there's no decision making behind it and it's always the right choice to do it, then it's pretty lame. IMO. Oh yeah, I wanted to check out the Basilisk's collision. I don't know if I did too much there. I guess I can lower its top collision a little bit. So we can do like 12, or no. We'll try 11, I guess. 13. Yeah. Be a little bit more forgiving on the collision side of things. I don't think it's super important. The other thing I wanted to do was slightly improve the attack speed of Vorvalings, but I'm not sure if that'll be too powerful. TBH. So we'll make it super slight. Yeah, I think it's just they didn't realize how important it was to not have Smart Rally. Like if you don't have Smart Rally, then you have to look at your base, and they didn't realize the connection there. I don't think, but they also the famous example is when there was some developer interview where somebody was claiming that you needed 3 High Templar to make an Archon or some shit. Like, the people who made StarCraft 2 by and large didn't play Brood War, or at least didn't play Brood War for very long or very recently at that point. So it's a situation where you're looking at that and you're like, come on, man. Like, all you had to do is do a little bit of research. You don't even have to like Brood War. Like, you don't even have to say that you like Brood War. I mean, maybe you think you have to because of some fucking fear of PR, but like, at least be honest. You know? I don't get it. I actually don't know if I ever used it. What was Proton Surge? What was it supposed to be in the beta? Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Beaver, if that was because of the fact that they misremembered or thought that was what it was like in Brood War or something. All right, so let's close that for now. We've done the done a bit of stuff here. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I was going to play around with is, I don't know about you guys, but so I've talked about this before as well. When you have a visual representation of a unit and it doesn't really match up with the stats that you have, that is a problem. Like, I look at the Basilisk graphic and I feel like it should probably be tankier than it is. It should probably have like 115 HP or something, you know? Or at least 110, which is 15 higher. Like, the only problem is then it has to be more expensive, right? Like, then we've got to increase its maybe its time cost slightly and its mineral cost slightly. Well, maybe not time cost, because you already have to morph a Hydra. We did reduce its I don't know how I feel about that actually, because we did reduce its movement speed from the Hydra. I'm pretty sure. If we compare the Hydralisk to the Basilisk, I'm pretty sure they have lower move speed. Because Hydras benefit from muscular augments by default now. So yeah. But yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, Basilisks are actually the slowest moving Hydra-related unit. Hydralisk-related unit, but fucking executed, TBH. See ya, nerd. I like that it just spun the entire way there and executed her. So yeah, I think it's fine for them to be like really slow moving in that sense, but also be a little bit tankier. Maybe they'll just have 100. Then it's only a +5 HP. But still, I feel like maybe Maybe they should have like 2 armor. That might be big. But it might also make them disproportionately powerful against fucking infantry, like small arms fire, if they can't even die to it. So I don't know. I must have played Total Annihilation for all of like an hour a long time ago. But it was in like the late 2000s or early 2010s or something. So I played it well after it was actually out. I definitely missed the boat on it. But one of the things that I do like from what I've heard about Total Annihilation is that it had this scale of battles that was unmatched. It's just that for me, I felt like a lot of the units were very similar. I felt like there wasn't really a whole lot of identity to individual units, you know what I mean? And that's something I really like about StarCraft compared to Command and Conquer. It's like even in Command and Conquer where the units are a little bit more defined, even like visually you can tell, a lot of them seem to overlap or they don't really do that much that's like distinct or it gives them a central identity that differs from everything else. That's one of the things that I really like about StarCraft is that every unit feels different than the other units. And that's something I've tried to replicate with my own work, even though a lot of the combat roles are somewhat similar, or there is overlap of the combat roles, but like they're doing it in a different way. They have enough of a unique spin on whatever their combat role actually is. If it's a ranged unit that's anti-infantry, and there's multiple if there's we'll just say an anti-infantry unit. If there's multiple anti-infantry units, then at least each anti-infantry unit does something different that feeds back into the mechanic or the thematic of their own race, while also not being so similar to everything else from their own race that, or something from another race that it loses out on that identity. You know what I mean? I feel like Total Annihilation had a problem with that. But that being said, the large scale fights are definitely my thing. Like I've removed the supply limit in HYDRA. We haven't yet extended the in-game unit limit, which is pretty unfortunate. But once we get to the point where either that's done or the new engine is in and we're able to start migrating stuff over, I really want to see giant battles. I want to see 500 supply armies smashing into each other. I want to see these giant, you know, uh, these giant fights and engagements. You know what I mean? That's something that I'm like a really big fan of. So that's something that I can respect the Annihilation line of games because I think Total Annihilation and Planetary Annihilation, even though they were much apart, and for all I've seen, Planetary Annihilation is kind of shit. I've played a very tiny amount of it as well. I think, but I think it was before it actually came out officially, and I was not a fan. But the idea that you're going for these giant scales of massive battles, like I like that. I just don't think you need to sacrifice individual unit identity for that to happen. I can see why some people might assume that's the case, but I think you can have really good unit identities, positional battles, micro outplay potential in individual units and compositions. I think you can do all that stuff in the environment of a large scale RTS. It's just that I don't really think too many people have tried that. Like very few games out there are as unlimited as Total Annihilation seems to be in terms of scale and stuff. While also, I don't think that there's just so few large scale RTS games out there anyway. That when you consider that, there's even less opportunity for something like that to happen. I don't know how to think about that. Like I don't think anybody's really tried to merge those two worlds before. So regardless of if somebody has, then it's like inspiration for me. I can at least learn from any mistakes they may have made or consider any choices they made. So maybe we'll see. But ultimately, I'm really excited to get on that bandwagon myself, if you will. What's up, Alexander? I don't know what's going on in my background, so I'm going to check on that real quick. But I'll be back, and we'll get some more work done. All right, I have returned and we are back to work on stuff. I guess I might as well do the Basilisk death animation now, finish that unit off in theory, and then hopefully we can get somewhere with the rest of everything. So if we take a look at wait, where is the Hydra's death animation? Oh, I missed it? Or... aha, here we are. So similar to what we did with the Basilisk, or with the what would you call it? When we were making the Firebat death animation, we used a Marine as the basis for both the remnants and for the animation itself. I think here we can pretty much do the same thing, except using the Hydralisk as a reference. It's the closest unit in terms of size, so. And the Lurker one doesn't really have it, like it's not really a corpse in the same way, so. So if we take a look at the Firebat death one, not really a whole lot to it in terms of how it's constructed. So we'll say death. Oh yeah, I was going to modify a little bit of the Firebat remnants as well, but what do we got here? Twin 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So we're going to mask out everything that is not a red pixel, which basically just means we're masking out all the blood. Well, rather, everything that isn't blood. And then we're going to replace all of the stuff that was in theory masked out with stuff that is of our new graphic. There was an animation, if you can call it that, made for this, but it's like a recolor instead of actually trying to add stuff. So I'm not going to be using that. So there you go. Yeah, it's always the same. So we're going to go ahead and grab, I guess a south-facing frame would probably be the most sensible for the Basilisk. Where are we at here? So we'll take this south-facing frame of it being idle. And we will use that. That's just a guess, though. I don't really know what frame they used for quote-unquote inspiration. It looks like they used some weird angled one, to be honest, but... It's weird to have like such an explosive amount of blood So early on too, like as soon as the animation begins, basically there's a giant blood explosion. So it's weird how like that's just fine. Like we just accept that sort of approach for whatever reason. I don't know why or how, but let's say left leg, right leg, right arm, left arm. Really, it's not super important where or how we set this up. As much as, like, you know, we take this, right, and we call this frame 1. I'm going to duplicate it, bring it down here. And then we just keep posing stuff, I think. And yeah, they kind of just like split it up or whatever, so and obviously as the body hits the floor, hits the ground, we should be in a pretty reasonable position to just like start hiding some stuff, basically. Yeah, they kind of just stretched the whole thing out, which is weird. I don't know how I feel about that as much. I might fill in some of the missing area with more blood or some other bits and pieces or something, but I'm certainly probably going to mask in some more blood on top of the pieces that we see so that they're a little bit less intact. I'll just like mask out or let's get a bit of that. Like we're pretty much to the point where we'll have the opportunity to, yeah, like we can start to act as if these things are on the ground now, I think. And obviously like I can move some blood to the position where it makes sense for blood to be as well. Honestly, I might just move this piece up though in all of the frames. Feels like a bit haphazard right now. Yeah, for the most part, it's all just blood modification, I think. And, like, maybe shrinking down some parts here and there. So I'll just get everything where it ought to be and see where we go from there, I guess. All right. Yeah, it was from a really old mod or something. So yeah, it was certainly a while ago. Though I don't really think that the animation was all that great, so I might end up improving it or updating it or something later down the line. Hey, there was some guy whose name is just 3 H's was just in here talking about that, but yeah, in general, I think it's what Luciferia said in the Discord server. It's like some people look at names that were from like that made games before Activision came in, and they, for whatever reason, they're still thinking that Activision and Blizzard are different, right? Whereas they're very much the same at this point. So that would be what I would say is like the public perception still somehow still has not shifted against Blizzard. Doesn't matter how many like Hong Kong incidents happen or how many fucking just like Diablo Immortal stuff happens. They just think it's all Activision, I guess. I don't know. That would be my assumption. If that HH guy is still here, maybe he can explain his hype or his interest. I don't want to unfairly characterize it or throw him under the bus, but that would be my guess, anyways. Like, you know, we just still have people who think one way or the other about that sort of thing. Reformed. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like weird, you know. I've never been a fan of really any of Blizzard's story writing, to be honest, but hey, get out of here, dude. like I was saying, hopefully it ends up being good, you know? Hopefully it ends up being, like, shocking the world and being very surprising, but, you know, it's dangerous to put hype around anything these days. No, nothing is safe. Yeah, of course. I mean, pretty much goes without saying, but still. Got to be realistic on some level, you know? Yeah, it's a little... In the immortal words of Richard Lewis, that's going to be a yikes for me, dog. Oh, yeah. What are my dimensions here? Is it 128? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Cops are here, boys. It's over. It's been a pleasure modding for you. Sometimes dead units do have team color on them for a few frames. Not usually, but I don't see a reason to avoid doing it in this particular case. Oh boy. Beautiful. I'm not saying I enjoy killing and contorting Zerg units, but just saying maybe that's where I do my best work. Well, you never know. You just never know. So this is 1166. We will take a page out of the HYDRA remnants setup here. say 617. Basilisk death. I don't know what image ID is next. 1237 it looks like. And we have both of these set to 1, 0, 25, 8 apparently. Oh no. And then we jump over here and it is set up such. $19. Okay. And then in the Basilisk death case, we can low sprawl 617. Basilisk remnants. And then we can do play. Now, obviously, the frames will be different here. There's way more frames in the Basilisk anime or GRP, I'm pretty sure. But we'll go ahead and add those and see where we go. I've got to do a burrow animation next, so we're going to see how that goes. Should be pretty neat. Okay, so I've got to do the Basilisk GRP here. And looks like 442 will be their start frame. All right. We'll see what that looks like up against the remnants, and you know, I might have to like get a lot of the blood that is above the graphic, either wipe it from the death animation or add it to the remnants. I'm not sure which, but thank you very much, Unsettled RS. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're not unsettled. Although I understand looking at a death animation might make you unsettled. But... It unsettled my dog, so there's that. Let's take a look. What frame set would that be? 1BA, okay. Oh, it's you. Well, welcome. Okay, so then I just need to plug in the unused one here, and then that should work out fine. In theory. Let's take a look. That's pretty big, though, if we ended up getting all that done. Birth animation, death animation, you name it, dude. Oh. It might help if... Also, I just noticed that the team color got set up incorrectly there. It might help if I actually update the graphic inside the game, though. I took this and I didn't actually throw it in here. Oh, am I yelling? Yeah, I don't mind that. I definitely need to get rid of the team color, apparently, but... Yeah, once it's a sprite, it loses its stuff, so the remnants will have to change there. I think the remnants should also have a little bit of a different blood makeup on them, because it does look like it's supposed to be hugging some material that's just not there. But overall, I think it looks fine. A fine start. It's fine if there's team color on the death animation, but I forgot about there being it being an issue if it's on the pretty much anything else. Like if it's a sprite, it doesn't technically get owned by a player. You know what I mean? So there's no team color to display. But during the death animation, it's fine because it's actually still the unit still exists during its death animation, basically. Are there? I didn't see anything on my end, so it might just be for you. Why are they spamming K-pop? I saw that earlier too, and I was really confused. Do I just not understand anything now? Is it really over? Yeah, blood still needs some work, but seems fine. Probably mask out this bit of blood over here. All right, let's take a look at what else I'm improving here. Maybe some shading on some of the connective bits. But aside from that, seems relatively okay. For that last frame, I can get rid of a bit more. Like... All right, that should be good. Close that for now. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about how this has gone on so far. Managed to crack 3 hours here so far, and took care of the Basilisk death animation and birth animation. So I guess we could jump into the borrow animation. That's obviously going to be a big one for that unit, you know? For the borrow stuff, I think it's just copy pasted from the HYDRA. So I don't know, like the Hydralisk burrow animation always looked pretty weird to me, given that it's literally just them falling into the floor, basically. So like obviously with like they don't have an animation yet, but it literally would just, if I wanted to copy that one, it would just be them falling into the ground, which is kind of lame. But anything more involved would probably be a little annoying. Okay, so I think we're in a pretty good position now to either work on that animation that I was just talking about or go some other direction. And there's a fire engine careening down my street now, by the way. Oh, maybe that isn't. Maybe that's just the music I'm listening to. It just sounds like that Doppler effect or whatever. I really want to ship this in time for Sunday. We can do the inaugural HYDRA specific fraud night. Yeah, I am gonna have to like take these like upper puddle areas and dwindle them. But that can be for later. Um, what's it called? Egg alcagilisk. Now the only problem is I don't actually remember what unused one animation we're looking at here. Aha, lurker egg unused one. Okay, so Well, the only problem is that I don't actually know how the unused 2 gets used, which is playing this animation in reverse. Not really sure how that gets taken care of there, but in any case, we can do the almost built stuff. These animations are goofy. So I need to go a little bit further back here and find, I think it's called, what is it called? Lark egg, by the way. See if this is simple enough. Might be too simple. So I guess these animations should actually be reversed since I did them in that way. Or I could just move this down. $28 to $32. All right. I don't know why it wouldn't work there. Almost built is the animation for morphing. Just like unused one is the animation for morphing. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Oh, wait. I think the reason why is because I didn't take this, and yeah, that's just me being dumb. There's no frames there yet. What are these? 33? Now that's a real police car. I can be reasonably certain that's not in the song. Mostly because it's annoyingly loud. That looks pretty good. It's like it's getting sucked into the egg. That's fucking hilarious. Alright, I have no idea how to make the cancel anim work. But at least there's something. I need to make my own at some point, but it's... The other problem is that we're going to need something like that for the cocoon. Like air units morphing into a cocoon that don't normally morph into a cocoon. All right, I feel pretty good about that. I have to do the burrow animation for the Basilisk. I need to do the death animation for the Cascathalor. And the birth animation for the Othsteleth and the Cascathalor. I need to do the morph animations, the morphed into a cocoon animations for the Overlord, the Iroleth, the Nathrakor, and, as you just saw, the Ultralisk. But, suffice it to say, definitely less work now than there ever has been. All right, so I think that'll do it for my stream today. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We had some new faces, we had some interesting conversations, and we made some good progress on HYDRA, which is always lovely. I'll be working on some video content for this channel as opposed to for the other channel. Don't often get to do that, so I'll be doing that later on today. Stay tuned for some more of that. And I'll be catching you guys some point soon.